Greetings, comrades. My name is Gigantos, and don't mind my appearance, I've just come back from Mass, and it was only after coming back from Mass that I realized I hadn't yet recorded a video for this week. It's been mostly because I've been so focused on my assessments, which I said three of them are essays that I need to write. I've almost finished one by now, so hopefully by the time you're watching this, I will have moved on to my second essay and gotten that done. Okay, not gotten that done, but just made some decent work in it. I've got to do research on stuff. I'll tell you about my essays another time. But today is day 19, I think, of Lent, which means that if you don't take into account Sundays, you could say, "Oh, look, we're almost halfway through Lent." We are not halfway through Lent. There's still 46 days. There's 46 days of Lent in total, and take away 19, that's 27, I hope. So there's still 27 days of Lent left, almost a month, and hopefully you guys are all going strong in your fasting and abstinence from whatever food it is that you're abstaining from, whichever one you're doing. There's nothing really much to report. Sorry, my hand's already hurting. It's freezing outside. I just came back and my nose was red and sore, and it was actually snowing a little bit, but for some reason it wasn't just a gentle, like, peppery snow. No, these were huge chunks of, like, almost ice, like pseudo hail, just landing on my hair, and now I've effectively had my hair washed twice today. But really, apart from that, the only thing worth mentioning that happened to me this week was I ended up getting into a really heated argument with a Sedevacantist, or rather a couple of Sedevacantists. And when I mean heated, I mean on their end, not me. I'm generally very good at keeping my cool, especially when I'm doing something online, whether I lose a game of PUBG or if I'm arguing with a guy online, because I just remember, if it's stressful for me, I can just take a break, leave it alone for a little bit and go back to it. If once I've calmed down a bit, or just relaxed a bit. There's nothing to really work myself up over. But the guys I was arguing with, they were, I can imagine the red threads are going to love this. But the main topic of the post was basically them trying to condemn communion in the hand as a Protestant invention, and using my immense knowledge. Okay, I'm joking here. I have some knowledge, some specialized knowledge, and further research. Using my knowledge of the early church fathers and the early church, I managed to prove that communion in the hand wasn't a Protestant invention. It was endorsed by the Eastern Catholic churches. There was Saint Narse, or something like that. Sorry, I pronounced that wrong. Saint Narse, I believe. Of Nisibis, Saint Cyril of Jerusalem, and Saint Ephrem of Syria. So those three saints were quoted as supporting hand in the communion. And Saint Ephrem made a very interesting, maybe not a liturgy, well, part of a liturgy, but he made a very interesting speech about communion in the hand, in which he said that as creatures, we humans are unique in that we can commune with God, and so that makes us worthier makes us worthier to hold the Eucharist than a simple inanimate object made of gold or silver, which was definitely quite interesting for me to read and see his conclusion. But as you can imagine, the argument got very off track, in which they were trying to say stuff like Pope Francis is a heretic, and I kept asking them, how is he a heretic exactly? And I kept giving him a list to the list of the 255 dogma of the Catholic Church, and I specifically used a traditional Catholic website, rather just had traditional in the name, and said, just so he couldn't say I wasn't being traditional, and I said, tell me, which of these 255 dogmas of the Catholic Church is Pope Francis rejecting? And he just refused to actually name it. And then they both accused me at one point of being a Protestant. And I said, okay, which of the 255 dogma of the Catholic Church am I rejecting for me to be considered a heretic or a Protestant? Because I condemn the Protestant theology and all that stuff. Okay, obviously not where Catholic and Protestant theology intersect, but that's something else entirely. I'm a Catholic. I agree with every one of those every one of those infallible dogma. And for them to call me a heretic or a Protestant with no research on their behalf is nothing more than just slander. Okay, swapping hands again. I really don't have stamina holding my phone up. But yeah, it was an enlightening debate, for me at least, because I managed to see just how deluded they were in their beliefs. Again, at one point I think I went for like a couple of hours with both of them, or rather there was a stage in our arguments. Therefore, that for each of them, I spent almost like 2 hours going back and forth with them, saying, "How am I a heretic? Tell me where on this list of dogma that I reject that would mean I'm a heretic." And they didn't seem to really understand what the word heresy meant. They seemed to think that if you disagree with someone, rather if you disagree to them, then you are a heretic. But to clarify, you can't be a heretic unless you deny something relating to like religious dogma. For instance, in the Catholic Church, if you reject one of the 255 dogmas, then you are a heretic. So I would probably be seen as a heretic according to the Protestants, because I reject some of their dogmas, even though it's not infallibly defined by the magisterium, like Catholic dogma is. But for them to call themselves Catholic, yet not use the Catholic definition of heresy to condemn someone as a heretic, it was very Sedevacantist of them. But yeah, I'm not going to go on too long about this video. I've got to get back to work. But the point, okay, swapping hands again. But the point really about this video was, almost finished one assessment. Please continue praying for me. It's snowing, so which means it's really cold here. I argued with Sedevacantists for a few hours and I became adamant that I was definitely that I'm definitely in the right church if individuals like them are deluded into going outside of it through their own beliefs, which I don't share. And it's day 19 of Lent, so we still have 27 days left. So pray for each other that you may get through the rest of Lent without snapping or anything. And hopefully I just finish I finished my second assessment by, I guess, this time next week, or whenever I next make a video. So have a good weekend, all of you. God bless you all. See you in the next video, comrades. Until then.